welcome to another episode of the Decision Hour. I'm Adam, and with me as always, Patty.
Adam.
What's going on?
Well, I'm just feeling very natural right now. I'm trying to switch up this show, so I'm just feeling very well right now because we're going to be talking about holistic healing.
Namaste. Holistic healing. Let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. What is it? I guess we're jumping right into this. Holistic healing is today's topic, folks. What do you know about how do you define holistic healing? Because that, like, I hear holistic and I immediately think of like hallucinations. I don't know why, but
oh my goodness. Holistic
that's not
medicine.
Like, yeah, okay, all right, not like it's LSD or anything like that.
No,
okay.
No. Holistic medicine is a form of healing that considers the whole person. So the person as a whole, like your body, mind, spirit, emotions, making that quest for health and wellness.
So is it like alternative medicine? Like what do they call it? Not Far East. Like, is that like acupuncture and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
and
like
stuff like that?
Well,
yeah.
like massage, acupuncture, reflexology. I think is considered.
Yeah, I mean, there's five
meditation.
main aspects. Yeah, there's five main aspects of holistic healing.
All right, so what is it? What do we got?
It's physical,
okay,
emotional, social, spiritual, and intellectual.
Really?
It is true.
Okay, so
yes.
okay, so now I got a question. So give me an example of what would be so the physical side of it. I immediately go to like acupuncture because I've had that done before, and that's not a typical Western medicine type healing. That's an alternative, or I've heard the phrase alternative medicine would be classified as that. So what? And you said there was.
Well, I think that there's some things that mix all of the five aspects together. So physical, emotional, social, spiritual, and intellectual. You can even have like yoga, for instance. It mixes all of those things into one, right? So I mean, you're physically
moving,
active,
right?
Your yoga instructor usually is talking about some spiritual and intellectual, emotional type things, and you're
clearing your body of negative toxins, and deep breathing is another. And this is all part of the yoga thing. Have you ever done yoga?
Yeah, and in a social setting. To be honest, I have done yoga, and I don't like it.
Really?
Everybody I know loves it. I can't stand it.
I've done several things. I got a good friend of mine, Wendy, when she lived in Phoenix, was a yoga instructor, and I went to a couple of her classes. Wow, just it made her, like, you don't think of it. And I was pretty flexible at the time because it was martial arts, and I did a yoga class and with Wendy, and it was a completely different experience. I felt good afterwards. Sore the next day, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm really flexible, so I mean, like, I can bend all day. And then the thing I had a hard time with is just sitting still. Like, they say, oh, just be in your class and just relax. Like, I can't. Like, I just can't in that setting. So some things that I do is, I know this sounds silly, but there are float tanks. You can actually go and you can float in a quiet tank. Like here in Florida, there's a place in Sarasota you can go to. Now, I have not tried that, but I like read about it, and it seemed really interesting to me, and I absolutely love water. And we have a pool and a hot tub, and I do float. Like, I'll turn my hot tub jets off, and I'll just float in it for a while. And it's quiet, it's like peaceful. Your ears are under the water, so you can't hear all the stuff going on outside, and it's just really relaxing to me, so I like that.
Water therapy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep, it's float therapy.
Okay.
I like journaling. That's another thing that I like to do that I haven't done in a while. But I like guided meditation a lot. I do fall asleep a lot though, like halfway through.
Let me ask. I'm going. This is going to sound like an ignorant question, so I apologize ahead of time. But when you say guided meditation, assuming that you're there and somebody is walking you through, like you're breathe deep, let go. I mean, somebody's walking you through the meditation side of it itself. You're not doing it on your own.
So my experience is you can download free guided meditation apps on your phone. And it's literally somebody saying stuff like, okay, first we're going to relax, make sure that you're not driving, make sure that there's nothing that, nothing from the outside world is going to bother you. And you can either lay down or you can sit in a chair. I always lay down. And then they'll start with like, okay, we're going to take some deep breaths. And then they tell a little story. Like, okay, now imagine that you're in a forest and you're walking down this, this path, and it like talks about different things that you encounter on the journey. And it's just like a very relaxing scene, and you imagine it all in your head while they're talking about it. So, yeah.
All right. What are some other like holistic, energy healings or holistic healing treatments?
Well, so when my husband was injured, when he came back from Iraq and he had, oh my goodness, it was well over 24 medications that the doctors were giving him. And finally, I actually had to go to the ombudsman of the hospital, and I was like, listen, he's getting worse and worse because all these side effects of all these medications. So they ended up giving him a doctor who was into holistic healing, and she was a Buddhist, and she had some really good ideas though on like meditation and all these different things. So she sent him to like acupuncture, like you talked about. She even prescribed natural medications versus the prescription medications that were not natural. There's like different herbs and vitamins and things like that. So, I mean, that is all part of holistic healing. There's just so much that can go into it. Besides journaling and yoga, there's like a cognitive therapy that you can participate in, where you do brain games. And actually people with brain injuries do the cognitive therapy, but people who are under stress or people who just want to keep their brain sharp, we should all do brain therapy, like cognitive therapy, to keep our brains active and moving forward. There's nutrition. Think about like all the organic type of eating that you can do. Some of our friends juice. I have a juicer. There's different kinds of exercise besides yoga that you can do, like stretching and things like that. So there's a lot.
I think one of the things that I like is chiropractic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
I think that's some of the best. That helps me out at least on, because I'm supposed to be on certain pain medication and stuff like that, and I absolutely hate and despise taking any type of pills.
Yeah, mine is, I can't talk enough about massage therapy is so important. For me, it makes me lay there and I get the knots out, but like of my muscles, but also it just makes me be still and makes me be quiet normally. Well, sometimes I like to talk too during my massage, but it makes me lay there enough where I just have to relax for an hour or an hour and a half or whatever it is that I go for. So I like that. And it's about me. Like that is my time. I know some people love to color. I actually do have some coloring books at my house. And some people have the adult coloring books. I like little kid coloring books because they're not as detailed. I don't like to spend a ton of time on one thing. So it's enough where I can spend 15, 20 minutes, go on to the next whatever I want to do next.
She likes to color outside the lines, folks. That's what she's saying. It's just, I mean, there's, I'm kind of surfing for like different alternative medicines, and like, you got acupuncture, biofeedback. I mentioned reflexology. You mentioned yoga.
Mm-hmm. There's herbal therapy.
Yeah, herbal. Well, that was the other thing. And you mentioned here's cold water therapy is one. And actually, this is actually something I'm going to try when I get back to Arizona. So I have a friend of mine that does this cold water therapy, and he's got like a trough, that you put cold water in, and people sit in it, and then they dump these big 20-pound bags of ice in it, and you're sitting in there for like 5 minutes. It's completely, I mean, you're basically freezing almost without freezing, but it's like it's that cold water therapy, and they said it's like it really helps out a lot. Mm-hmm. I hate cold water like that, but it gets the blood circulating, and that's supposed to be good, really good.
Well, it sounds like that cryotherapy, or how do you pronounce that?
Yeah, the cryotherapy where you stand in the it's like the stand-up
we have that
thing.
Here.
Have you tried it?
Not yet, but I actually have an appointment to go talk to them, and then I want to talk to the people at the float tank place. What is it? I'm horrible pronouncing
I think it's like
things.
cryogenic therapy.
Yeah. That temperature drops to between -2 and 300 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's cold.
And you stay in there for 2 to 4 minutes. Yeah. But I've heard such great things about it.
Yeah, no,
I want to try it.
Yeah. There's a lot of things when it comes to holistic healing that's out there, and
even
go ahead.
Even going to the beach. There's a lot of people who live here in Florida who will go to the beach and they'll meditate on the beach, or they'll go sit at sunset and just watch the sunset go down. And some people will pick up shells. They'll see how many shells that they can pick up. And I think that that's all part of holistic healing as well. This is a funny thing. I haven't told very many people, but sometimes I just feel like I want to lay on the ground. I know it sounds crazy. Or at the beach, I just want to lay in the sand. And I was talking to a friend who's a yoga instructor about this. And I was like, I just feel so comfortable when I'm laying on the ground, like with nothing in between me and the ground. And she's like, oh, that's because the ground, it literally helps you stay grounded. And she recommends people walking barefoot in either the grass or things like that. And it is relaxing.
They say like walking barefoot, it really, you get a lot of energy from the earth. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to sound like, crunchy or anything like that, but it's like, but there's a lot of truth to that. When I'm back in the Midwest, I like walking around out the front yard barefoot because you feel the grass and the soil of your feet, and there's like a connection there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Same thing. I love getting into the ocean. Some people are like, oh my goodness, why are you getting in the ocean? There's sharks out there. I love it. Like the feel of the salt water on my skin, like I feel so soft afterwards. And if you take a pair of goggles and you're like swimming underwater, you can see like starfish and stingrays and all that cool stuff.
Last time I was in the ocean, I didn't have sunscreen on.
Oh, that's right.
And I got sun poisoning.
Yeah. Well, you have to wear sunscreen.
Yeah, wear sunscreen,
Adam. Yeah.
So holistic health, I mean, this is really it's an interesting topic because there's so many different things that, you think of health. It's, what supplements can you take? What should you be doing? Basic activity. Like just regular exercise is a pillar of holistic health, and there's so many benefits that extend well beyond muscle groups or even strength and endurance. Just if you exercise regularly, you get increased energy, improves your mood, improves your sleep, right? Strengthens bones. It also helps with like your lung and heart with increased oxygen intake. Improves muscle coordination, strengthens your brain, and improves concentration. And like I said, I try to get out and exercise. I know when I take whether it's I go to the gym and I'm on the bike, or what I really like to do when it comes to like cardio and stuff like that, I like taking my dog for a walk and like leaving just for an hour, like taking an entire hour and just walking out in the country. And because it clears my head so much. And I feel so much better when I get back. I'm not necessarily, getting my heart rate up and I'm trying to lose weight or anything like that, but it's just mentally relaxing. and at the same time, it's stimulating, which is another thing that exercise does. Stimulates metabolism, which includes elimination of detoxification of like your internal organs. So, exercise. Everybody should be moving around. Walk. There's a saying out there, something like you should walk at least 10,000 steps a day, or something like that.
And you know what? I just thought of something, Adam. We have a listener who has a medical condition where he's digressing in his health, and he can't walk anymore, and he's stuck in a wheelchair, and he can't do anything. But he does listen to our shows, and one of the things that I'm thinking about is this. So, like, people who have our health that can get out and walk, we have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I love that you're saying that.
No, I think it's important, and it goes back to, there's so many benefits to just going out and walking. Do you know what I mean? We're talking about, holistic health and exercise, and walking is one of the things that we're discussing right now. But if you look back at our past shows, we did a show on stress, and what was one of the things to help relieve stress? Exercise, right? And walking is one of those things. And first off, I want the listener that you're talking about, that thank you for listening. What are things? And that's the other thing. Not everybody can get up and go out and walk. So what are some other options that people have? Like, if you're wheelchair bound, okay, are they, do they have use of their arms, or maybe just, what are some things? Then you have to think about, if they're unable to move body parts, then it's guided meditation, right? It's in the mind, and that's, how do you change one's mindset? And that's another thing. I think I'm a firm believer of meditation and in clearing your mind of negative thoughts. I mean, and I'm not going to get into negative things and everything that's going on in the world today, but it goes to what you can control, and your mindset is one thing that holistically is holistic health. How do you control your thought? You control your thoughts and your mind, right?
Yeah, Donnie, that's the guy I'm talking about. I love him to pieces, because you know what? He motivates me to exercise. He'll message me and he's like, "Did you exercise?" And he said that it helps him feel a little bit of accomplishment, just knowing that I'm getting out there for him.
That's good.
So those of you who are listening, like, get out there for those who can't.
That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Holistic healing is the topic today, folks. That's what we're talking about. If you're listening to this, go to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Decision Hour, all one word. And we want to hear from you. What are some holistic healings that you practice on a daily? What are some of your rituals that you do? Or what are some things that you're going to start trying now? Maybe you heard something, whether it was yoga, walking, or whatever the case may be. Maybe there's something that we said today that you're going to start adding into your daily repertoire. We want to hear it. We want to hear from you guys. And what are some things that you're doing? Maybe maybe you're doing something that we didn't mention. Please let us know, and let's share that with the group. And I don't know, just let's start healing more.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in, and interact with us on, I can't talk right now, on social media, and go over, Adam has Instagram, I do too. We have Facebook pages. We have the Decision Hour pages. We have Heroes Media Group pages. Go like, follow, share, please. Love you guys.
Please. Let's we're trying to change the world for the better. And we can't do it alone. We need you there, right there, and we want you there with us. So that's all the time that we have today, folks. Before we let you go, as always, we've got to give a huge shout out to our parent network, Heroes Media Group. Go check out all the other shows and some articles, new articles that they're posting up over there. A lot of changes going on with the home network, and we're happy and proud to be a part of that. www.heroesmediagroup.com. Make sure you share the Decision Hour show page with all your friends and relatives. And if you don't mind, go to if you listen to us on iTunes, leave us a review and email us if you got ideas of things that you want to hear. You can email Patty and I at thedecisionhour@gmail.com. Until next time, folks, thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to The Decision Hour.